Well, that was fun, wasn't it? The New York Jets treat their fans to a lead for about 30 seconds or so before they let the Bucs march down the field, kick a field goal, make it look easy, and send the Jets packing to 0-3. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio, jetnation.com. Be sure to log into jetnation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web, and everyone's going to be so excited. And why? Why is everyone going to be excited, Glenn? Because they fought hard. Aaron Glenn is so proud of them. Brought a tear to his eye. The effort was so awesome. The Jets currently lead the NFL in effort. For those of you who keeping track at home, fantastic. Aaron Glenn gushing, proud and fight and heart, and not the same old Jets. Talked about it as proud. He must have said how proud he was of this team 4 or 5 times. Proud of his 0-3 football team. I'll tell you what, though. He's got this little problem to deal with. I don't care what anybody says, and this isn't a shock. I said the other day this team might be one of the few teams in the NFL that gets better when their starting quarterback goes down with an injury, and we saw that today. Tyrod Taylor, which it's Tyrod, by the way. I did a video earlier. I said his name 4 times, not intentionally. I said Tyrod twice. I said Tyrod twice. Because I've been calling him Tyrod for 20 friggin' years, but then every now and then I go, oh, it's Tyrod. It's Tyrod. That's the latest thing. And the other day, Baker Mayfield was like, it's Tyrod. And on the broadcast, they're calling him Tyrod. And I'm like, oh, it's Tyrod. And then at the end, they're like, Tyrod says it's Tyrod, not Tyrod. Anyway, enough of that. He's better than Justin Fields. So do what you're going to do, Aaron Glenn. Best chance to win or, flail along for the rest of the season. Don't score many points, but evaluate Justin Fields, which I would look. I would get it. I'm not saying either one is wrong. I'm just saying, you can't really say we're going to do what gives us the best chance to win and then start Fields because he doesn't. Tyrod Taylor is the better player. Let's see. We'll go over Aaron Glenn's presser. Real quick, Quincy Williams left the game with a shoulder. That's being evaluated. Marcelino McCrary-Ball left with a hamstring. So Aaron Glenn opened up by saying, we fought. This team fought. I'm proud of how this team fought. They didn't quit. They got heart. They fought. Great. Like I said, the Jets lead the league in heart and fight. Wins? None of those. None of those. He says it's small, critical things that they have to clean up. And he said he didn't want to hear about penalties because he didn't think penalties were the reason they lost today, which I wasn't keeping count, but it did feel like they cleaned that up a little bit in the second half. Basically said that today showed who we are and who we'll be. I'm not sure I like that so much. You're 0-3. You've not won a game. Well, we just lost our 3rd in a row. We don't have a win, and that's who we're going to be. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm assuming he meant, again, the heart and the fight. Again, 2 categories where the Jets are dominating. The rest of the league is scared to fight the Jets. They're not so worried about playing them in football, but no one wants to fight them. Let's see what else. After that, Aaron Glenn said he wanted to give them credit for how they fought and that they had no quit. As I said, he said penalties were not an issue. Said Tyrod Taylor got better as the game went on. Says he believes in these players. He's proud of them. They believe in themselves. Everybody's buying in. Nobody's quitting. Said facing a ton of pressure from Todd Bowles is nothing new. I'll tell you what. Well, listen, we got to wait and see the film. Sometimes there's something you don't catch on the TV angle. I said it during the game. I'm not sure the film is going to be so kind to the tackles. I feel like Olu Fashanu got pushed around a little bit. I saw at least one sack that he gave up to Yaya Diaby. And Membu on the other side I don't think he was as shaky as Olu when I focused on him, but he didn't look so good a few times. So the tackles, not so great, not as well as we, I think week 1 they may have played a little bit over their heads, especially Membu, and now it's a little bit like, So we'll see what happens there. I already touched on Aaron Glenn being proud of how they fought. He said the pressure from Todd Bowles was nothing new, and he said this is not the same team. He said that a few times, and even I was a little confused. I was like, the same team as what? And what Aaron Glenn was trying to avoid saying is we're not the same old Jets. Because Brian Costello, credit to him, asked Aaron Glenn what I was thinking. He was like, same team as who? What do you mean? And Aaron Glenn was like, well, we're not the same old Jets. Right now, you are the same old Jets. Let's see. And then he said, we're going to keep stacking. I don't know what they're going to keep stacking. I would imagine the plan isn't to keep stacking losses. And if it is, you wouldn't announce that publicly. So normally when you say we're going to keep stacking, you mean good things. But maybe he just meant we're going to keep stacking these losses and get used to it. Who knows? Then he mentioned how hard they fought, in case he hadn't mentioned that already. They fought this time. He emphasized they fought their asses off, so they fought even harder than he had initially reported. So that's great news. Rich Cimini, I believe it was, pointed out just one sack, but Aaron Glenn, to his credit, said, "Look, how many holds?" And Tampa had 1 million holds. So I mean, Quinnen Williams, I thought, was dominant. I thought Quincy had some really good reps. They I'm trying to think who had the sack. Quincy and Harrison Phillips shared the only sack. So yeah, they were disruptive up front. But Aaron Glenn did say, and correct was that they got to Baker a few times and didn't hold on. That being Baker Mayfield. Then Aaron Glenn says a lot of games, a lot of football left. That might not be a good thing, Aaron Glenn. And he said, I'm going to leave it to you guys. This is a game Aaron Glenn plays with the media that I don't like. And I'm not one to make excuses for them. And if the media is being out of line or just all around buffoons, I call it out in a heartbeat. I don't care. Nobody does. Nobody should. But Aaron Glenn said, I'm going to leave it to you guys to be negative. What could they report factually right now that would be positive? I mean, is Aaron Glenn upset that the media isn't blowing smoke and telling fans that this is a great football team? I don't understand that. And listen, I think every coach in the NFL does this, but we know Aaron Glenn does it. Aaron Glenn's like, I don't listen to you guys. We block the noise out. We don't hear anything outside this building. But he's done it a couple times where he'll comment on oh, you guys say this. You guys like to say that. And he'll get specific. Well, clearly you're reading. Clearly you're hearing the outside noise. Or someone's getting back to you and saying, all right, dude, here's what the media's saying about us this week. Blah, 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 blah. Some bullet points. Okay, cool. We know what you're getting the messages. Whether publicly you're like, we don't hear any of that. But then sometimes Aaron Glenn slips up and he's like, oh, you guys said this and you guys said that. So clearly he knows, which is fine. Every coach, it's important. It might be, I'm sure ownership wants the team to know, hey, what's the fan perception? These are paying customers. I'm not saying he's going to make lineup changes based on what the fans are saying. Jesus, I would hope not. But yeah, Aaron Glenn said the media, I'll leave it to the media to be negative. Well, leave it to the media to report what's happening. You just blew a football game. You just played a team. You're a defensive-minded head coach. You've got Quinnen Williams. You've got Will McDonald. You've got Quincy Williams. You've got some guys in your front seven who are absolute ballers. And you played a team with 300 offensive linemen, and they ran up and down the field on you. Moved the ball at will, pretty much. Especially at the end when they needed a play. They made a couple of plays, and that's what they did. Listen, Baker Mayfield, I said before the game, I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. There's no shame in giving up yards and points to the guy. But let's not get on the media for reporting what's happening, because that's essentially what they're doing. Oh, the media is being negative. You mean they're telling us what happens on the football field? You got to, I think Aaron Glenn, I like the guy, but there's been a few exchanges he has with the media where I'm like, he comes across almost a little thin-skinned. They're doing their jobs. It's a weird thing. With the Arian Smith, that was the one. Or weeks ago when Arian Smith had a good day, and Aaron Glenn's like, "Oh yeah, what about him? The guy you all said can't catch the ball." No, he's a guy who had 10 drops in college, so it was reported, 10 in a year. So I don't know. I said it at the time. I don't know if he just expects the media not to report negative things. It's just silly. It really is silly. Not a good day. Let's see. GM Island Empire says they fought back. It's expected, but they fought back. Malachi Moore played well, over pursued at times. I feel like a few guys over pursued on a few big plays. I got to tell you, I felt bad for Michael Clemens. Dude just can't catch a break. Gets flagged for personal foul. Wasn't even a personal foul. I tweeted out the replay. He got a hand in under Baker's face mask, and Baker turns his head. So it looked like the face mask was being pulled. They throw a flag on him. There was no flag. There was no penalty. But I mean, the penalties early on for both sides were disgusting. But yeah, like I said, Aaron Glenn has a backup quarterback who is better than his starter. Tyrod Taylor on the day, 26 out of 36, 197 for 2 touchdowns and a pick. I mean, let's face it, the pick six, 1 point game. That was rough, man. That was not a great look. But still, you did see, even on the first drive, you saw throws from Tyrod Taylor where he's hanging in there, pockets or blitzers coming right up the middle. You know he's going to take a shot right in the chops. He hangs in there, makes a play. You see another play later. There's a blitz. He avoids the rusher, stays poised, stays calm, rolls out a couple of strides, hits the receiver on the sideline. So literally first drive, you're seeing multiple throws where you're like, oh, Justin Fields isn't making that play. Justin Fields isn't making that play. So he's the better quarterback. I don't even think that's up for debate. The question is durability. The question is age. To what end do you play him? What's the point? He's not bringing in the Super Bowl, and then you will not have evaluated Justin Fields, who you gave like $30-40 million. So you got to get a look at him. Let's see in the chat. HDHF says the people saying we got to wait. I'm tired of waiting. Been waiting my whole life, my short life. I was 2 when we last made the playoffs. Graduating high school now, and we've had 1 winning season in between that time. I'll tell you what, man. I actually had that thought just this morning, I think it was, or the day before. It might have been last night, because I was looking back at Jets head coaches and their debuts and how many coaches gave up 30 points in a row their first 3 games, which 29 today, so the Jets didn't give up 30. But I went back and back and back, and like it's when you start doing that, when you start going back through all the coaches, Mangini and Groh and Edwards and Rex, and I start thinking to myself, God, if you're like a 17 or 18-year-old right now, you've never seen this team in the playoffs. That's crazy. I mean, look, they've been bad for a long time. They've been bad for most of my life. I've only seen a few playoff wins myself, and I've been a fan for 40-something years. I don't even know anymore. 38 years? 38, yeah, I'm going on 38, 39 years as a fan. I've only seen a handful of playoff wins. But this drought, obviously 14 years is absurd. It's going to hit 15. It's probably going to be 17 minimum, right? Because it's going to hit 15 this year. And then you're going to draft a quarterback who's probably going to need a year or two. If you get it right, he's going to need at least a year, so then you're at 15 years, 16 years. Yeah. I mean, this thing is going to creep up on 20 years before this drought ends. Welcome to being a Jets fan. Like, this is just it. I think I'm not happy at all that this team is 0-3. But the fact that I saw them as a 4-6 win team, none of this is surprising me. Will McDonald tipped the cap. Hell of a play from him, put him in a spot to win. But I knew. You knew. Even if you're in high school and you've only been a fan for, and you haven't been a fan for 29, 39 years, you knew when you looked and saw how much time was left, you're like, oh, God. Oh, boy, 1-point lead, barring a turnover, which the Jets do not. They don't do that. We don't do that around here. Barring forcing a turnover, the Jets were not going to win that football game. And we knew it. I knew it. You knew it. Everybody knew it. So it was a nice moment. I got to cheer with my son for 3 seconds. We got to enjoy the game for a couple. I can't believe that for the second year in a row, I'm going to spend an insane sum of money to go down to London and let this football team ruin a perfectly good weekend in my favorite city in the world. Saturday's going to be great. Saturday's going to be fun. Game day, it's going to be a nightmare. 40-minute walk to the stadium from the goddamn tube stop. Going to go and watch them get their asses kicked and have the 40-minute walk back to however goddamn long it's going to be on the line to get on the tube, to get back to the hotel and think about how they embarrass themselves again. That's going to be awesome. Anyway, back to tonight's game. Fell behind big early on. No big surprise there. The pick six, like I said, absolute backbreaker. Tyrod Taylor was the leading rusher. 8 carries for 48. Brees had 9 for 21. That's 2.3 a carry. Braylon, 6 for 30. That's 5 a pop. Garrett Wilson, 10 catches for 84 yards and a touchdown. Tyler Johnson, 2 for 32. Big drop for Tyler Johnson in this game, too. Brees Hall, 4 for 31. Still don't know why they don't get him more targets. Doesn't matter. Mason Taylor, at least, all right, 4 catches, only 18 yards, short stuff, but at least let him get his hands on the ball. I think he had a drop as well. Braylon Allen, 2 for 17. Alan Lazard sighting. Alan Lazard shows up, 2 catches, one of them for a touchdown, back of the end zone, nearly dropped it. But to his credit, the DB did try to smack the ball away as he pulled it in. So he bobbled it a little, but he held on. Defensively, Brandon Stevens gave up a touchdown to Mike Evans. The Bucs saw the matchup. They saw it wasn't Sauce and immediately went to Mike Evans on a slant inside the 10. Well, with Brandon Stevens, didn't stand the chance, just got boxed out, and Evans scored the touchdown. Jamie Sherwood led the way in tackles with 11 total, 5 solo. I mentioned Quincy Williams and Harrison Phillips teaming on that sack. No interceptions to report. Shocking. No fumble recoveries to report. Shocking. Unbelievable. Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen, neither one. I mean, look, I guess if you're not going to that's like the standard with this team, right? Like, just if you're a return man, just don't fumble it. 15-yard return, 17-yard return, great. Just don't fumble the damn thing. And look, I love Braylon Allen, but he's not a kick returner. Like, you want somebody electric, dynamic, somebody who can change the game. But they don't have that. Whatever. Thomas and Allen. Nick Folk, 2 for 2 on his 2 field goal attempts. Austin McNamara continues to be a stud punter. 48.5 a punt on 2 punts for 97 yards. 48.5 per attempt. That's not a bad job at all. On the other side, Baker Mayfield, 19 out of 29 for 233. Jets did a nice job against Bucky Irving. Held him to 2.6 a carry, 25 for 66. Rashad White, 5 for 12. Emeka Egbuka said pregame, keep an eye on him. He was going to be somebody they were going to be keeping an eye on because of injuries, because he was nursing some injuries, and he was a big factor. Sterling Shepard had a big catch late. He had 4 for 80 on the day. Mike Evans, as I mentioned, he had the touchdown. Sauce got called for a DPI. Come on now. I mean, he's running stride for stride with Mike Evans, who is reaching back and pushing against Sauce's shoulder, and Sauce's arm comes over and gets tangled. Like, if Mike Evans isn't pushing off, then there's no flag. So if the receiver's going to push off, let the corner get a little bit handsy and let it be a little bit of back and forth. I thought that was a BS call. Absolute garbage. Bucky Irving had 4 for 33 catching the ball. He had a big run after catch at one point. Defensively, I'll tell you what, bunch of sacks. Levante David, Jacob Parrish, Yaya Diaby, Antoine Winfield, all had sacks for the Bucs, and there were tons of pressures. Pocket collapsed a bunch. The tackles didn't hold up well. Look, Tampa was super aggressive, which you expect. So the Jets sit at 0-3. They got the Dolphins next. I would only call that a winnable game because when I watch Mike McDaniel, I feel like he's a dude who's waiting to get fired. Like, I'm not sure that guy wants to be there anymore. And I'm not sure I can blame him. But if he does want to be there, and the Dolphins haven't given up on their season, the Dolphins and Jets are probably looking at each other right now like, hey, this is our shot to win one. I don't think the Dolphins don't have a win, do they? I'm pretty sure they're winless. But this is both teams looking at it's the Spider-Man meme, right? Both pointing at each other. You're the team we can beat. You're the win on our schedule. Because right now, this schedule, there are no weak games when you're playing defense like this, when you can't slow anybody down. It's absolutely a joke. Mike in the chat says it's week 3 and the season's over. Let's be real. When will we ever have a winning season? It's going to be a while, Mike. It's going to be a while. Like I said, and I don't mean this to be like, facetious or whatever, but I'm just glad I never bought into this season being anything but an experimental. Let's try a few things. People got mad at me. When I was like, hey guys, look at the number of things that have to go right for the Jets. And I'll go through the list again, and maybe people will be more receptive to it. A bust quarterback on his third team in 3 years is your starting quarterback. Rookie head coach. Rookie offensive coordinator. Rookie offensive line coach. A quarterback's coach who's never had success as a quarterback's coach before. A rookie right tackle. A second-year left tackle, all under a coordinator, or sorry, all under an O-line coach who has never before been an O-line coach with a bad quarterback. Does it make sense now? Do you get what I meant? That I wasn't a fake fan? Oh, how can you don't know what's going to happen? And why are you being so negative? I'm looking at reality. And as I said a few times in the preseason, show me the last team. What's the last team you can think of that had a first-round washout quarterback with everything I just mentioned? Rookie head coach, rookie OC, rookie offensive line coach, rookie tight end coach. He's never held the job before. Charles London, the quarterback coach, has never had success before. Show me the guy you point to on this staff and say, we know he's going to be good at what he does. It's all question mark. And these guys might one day be the best in the NFL at their position. I'm not saying they suck. I'm saying they're learning on the job how to do their jobs. And it's not like this is an O-line with a Nick Mangold or a DeBrickashaw Ferguson that a young guy can go to. I mean, maybe John Simpson to a degree, but John Simpson's not a 9 or 10-year guy who knows the building and is, played for the same fans, owner, city, everything that goes with continuity. There's no one with any continuity who can say, I've been here for this long. I know what I'm doing. Come to me if you have issues. They don't have that. They don't have a second wide receiver. Arian Smith. What a great pick that was. Which, listen, and I'm talking about the here and now. I'm not giving up on Arian Smith and saying he's never going to be any good. But how do you not get him involved today? I get that Aaron Glenn nearly ripped his goddamn head off on the sideline for lining up in the wrong spot and drawing an illegal formation. But you have a weapon like that at your disposal, and you don't play 2 targets, a couple screen passes. I mean, come on. But and you got Tyrod Taylor, who does a really nice job throwing the ball deep. Island Empire says that wasn't a DPI, the sauce call. Absolutely. Wholly agree. GM Island Empire also says first 2 picks, quarterback and wide receiver. I'll tell you what. I don't know which quarterback you're taking. Well, look at these quarterbacks right now. Who are you taking? Who are you taking in the top 3? Because I'll tell you what, I think the Saints might be a pick in 1. I think the Saints might be the first overall pick. But it could look up. Don't rule out the Jets. I'm not saying that. But if the Saints are 1, they need a quarterback. So if somebody rises to the top right now, you're going to take Mendoza out of Indiana? I guess you could, but I get the feeling. Well, not get the feeling. I mean, we know Aaron Glenn prioritizes dynamic runners. He wants guys who can make big-time plays with their legs, not just a guy who can escape the pocket and pick up 12 yards. He wants a Justin Fields. He wants a Lamar Jackson. He wants a Lenora Sellers, who, by the way, I thought looked really good in the second half last night. South Carolina. He slow start, and he hadn't done much since week 1, but I thought Sellers played pretty well last night in spurts. So I think, if the Jets are taking a quarterback, if they're in that top 3, Lenora Sellers is the guy I'm looking at. Cade Klubnik, Nussmeier. I mean, they played like a Division 9 team last night. I haven't even looked at that game yet because I'm not all that interested in what LSU does against these schools where they should just be able to win 85-0 by the half. It's just ridiculous. So the Jets are not in a good spot right now, folks. They're 0-3. Let's see. I'm not even gonna pull up the schedule. I was gonna pull up the schedule. Maybe I will. Because I'm just thinking, you got the Dolphins next. That's a somewhat winnable game. This team is not beating the Cowboys. This team is not beating the Broncos. I'm not so sure this team is beating the Panthers. That offense is coming along nicely with Tetero McMillan having himself a pretty nifty little season. Then you got the Bengals. Maybe you beat them. If, Burrow won't be back, they'll be on their backup quarterback. The Browns, I guess that's winnable just because, it's a coin flip. But that's the thing. When your Bengals and Browns matchups are coin flips, Patriots, We'll see how they're doing by then. They have a great young quarterback because, of course, they do. You ain't beating the Ravens. The Falcons got shut out today, but we'll see about that. You got the Dolphins again. Jaguars are kind of a mess. Oh, you got the Saints. That game could have very heavy draft implications. And you close out against Pats and Bills. I mean, you got like 4 or 5 games that you could say at best right now are a coin flip. And Aaron Glenn is just, he'll keep telling us how proud he is and what great fighters this team is. And all we can do is sit and watch it. Like I said, tip your cap to Will McDonald. Jawan Briggs. Look, I'm going to try to end on some positives here. Who looked good? Azariah Thomas had a nice play late in the game. Forced an incomplete pass when Sauce was out of the game. Jawan Briggs had a handful of nice reps again. Quincy Williams, I thought, was having a really nice game before he got injured, left with a shoulder injury. Quinnen Williams, I thought, was maybe the best player on the field for the Jets. Garrett Wilson. I mean, to get 10 catches when the other team knows you're the only guy on the team they throw the ball to, that's pretty impressive. We didn't see anything from Ruckert. Yeah, this is a good point. Bishop Judas. I noticed it too, and did I write it down here? I think I just wrote how many times he said he was happy with them. I left it out though. Yeah, that he did. Aaron Glenn did say again, like, there's no moral victories, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm really happy. Really, I don't know if that was the word he used, but he basically claimed another moral victory. He's done it a couple times now. He says no moral victories, but then he claimed, and again, I'm not necessarily knocking him for that because I've talked about this I said the other day how I've been saying this for years. What you may call a moral victory, what fans call moral victories, to me, especially when you have a very bad football team, I call it building blocks. Like, fine, don't call it a moral victory. But if you have some things you do well, those are things you can build on. Now, I don't know what he meant by that today. I was talking about the Steelers game. When they played that Steelers game, and that might end up being their season highlight, the 2025 New York Jets video yearbook might just be a highlight reel from that loss against the Steelers. I don't know what he meant today. What's the building block? I guess that you stop the run. That's good. They threw the ball on you whenever they needed to, which same with Buffalo. Buffalo didn't put up big numbers through the air last week, but when they needed to, could be my imagination. It just felt like Josh Allen just completed a pass anytime he had to have it. We saw it again today from Baker late in the game, just marched right down the field for the game-winning field goal. The secondary's a mess. And this, that, not just the defense, but specifically the secondary, not only because he was a corner, but because you saw the number of plays that Aaron Glenn managed to get out of his safeties in Detroit. Game 3, we're still waiting on that first interception. It's not good, folks. It's not good. The New York Jets are in a very bad space right now. At JNRadio_Glenn. That's me right there. Give me a follow on Twitter. Post highlights. I know obviously most folks are watching the game, but if you're out and about and trying to keep up on Twitter, I do what I can to tweet out highlights within a minute or two of the play happening. Try to stay on top of that, but tons of coverage on the team, tons of thoughts. And look, I put out that video this morning. I'm going to try to make it a thing, like a 2-3 minute preview, because fans are busy. It's game day. You're getting ready to go to the stadium. You're getting ready to do whatever. And I just shared a few thoughts. What were those thoughts? Look out for Emeka Egbuka, right? And look out for Yaya Diaby against Olu Fashanu, because he's no slouch over there. And he had at least 1 sack, and I think he had a couple of or he was in the backfield a lot, put it that way. I don't know what the stat line exactly is for Yaya Diaby, but I know he had the sack and he got in the backfield quite a bit. I mentioned both tackles. I mentioned Membu, which I don't think Reddick had a sack, but he had a big TFL. And he was pretty disruptive. And so that's a wrap on this one. The Jets find a way to lose. Will McDonald, as I said earlier, you tip your cap to him. Hell of an effort. Really nice game. The All-22 will tell us more, tell us who played well, who didn't. Look, again, with the no moral victories, doesn't matter. You lost no matter what. But again, for the future, for who stays around, who leaves, it's going to be a long season, folks. I feel like we're in week 13 right now. Week 3. Oh, man. Real quick in the chat, Abraham says he likes the way they fought back before the season. He knew it was going to be a rebuild. Why should I get so emotional that I have to be negative? AG will get them to fly. Go Jets. Well, that's what we all hope, Abraham. I mean, I don't really know a Jets fan that wasn't at least happy with the Aaron Glenn hiring. Everyone seemed to be anywhere from happy to ecstatic. Me personally, I was happy, but I really preferred an offensive guy. I felt like it's time. It's time to bring in someone who's built a team, who's developed a quarterback, all that stuff. Wild Wave, how we doing, buddy? Says the roster isn't good. It's going to take time. Well, that's the thing. It's not. They're good in some key spots, and there's some spots where they're good. They're really good. It's like I said, you have an all-pro player at every level of the defense. Not many teams can say that. Quinnen, Quincy, Sauce, Will McDonald has all-pro potential. Jermaine Johnson, I would say, probably has Pro Bowl potential. I know he didn't play today. Like, he's a guy who can make a couple of Pro Bowls. Jamie and Sherwood, solid, not great, but solid. So you've got some players, right? This isn't, as I've said before, this is not the team that Mike McCagnon built or that John Idzik built, where the offseason started and you're like, well, we need 5 offensive linemen, 3 wide receivers, a quarterback, couple of tight ends. That wasn't the thing. That was like, you need 1 more offensive lineman. You need at least another receiver. Unfortunately, they let that be Arian Smith. That's, nothing you can do about that now. It should have been somebody better. You should have beefed up at DT. They didn't do that. So the couple of holes they had, they didn't really address. So there's talent there. It's just the problem is some of the talent, like Quinnen Williams, how much longer is he going to hang around? They didn't just give him a huge extension. He's got a couple years left on his deal, and they're going to be bad for a couple more years. And if he wants to win, then maybe he just says, you know what? I'm going to let this deal expire and move on. Let's see. Wait, just about that. Embarrassing 58 minutes. I do not disagree, Tim. Not one bit. Wave again says it's not good. New system. Just because you have talent doesn't mean it fits what you want to do. Yeah, well, those are 2 different conversations, Wild Wave. You're not wrong. But my whole point is, if you look at, just look at the 22 starters, right? Like you have several guys who are anywhere from good to all pro. That's not, we know what bad rosters look like. Look at the McCagnon roster. Look at the Idzik roster that they handed over to the guys that came after them. You could go through those rosters and find like 3 dudes that belonged in the NFL. Everybody else was like a practice squad guy to a, 3rd string fringe player. That's not the case here. There's enough talent to win some football games, but as I said a million times, too much inexperience in the coaching ranks. I would have liked, I don't know if it was feasible. I don't get the feeling, and this is clearly just a feeling. I don't do the thing. For anyone who's new to me, I don't pretend to have info I don't. I know you can go on Twitter and find a million people who are hearing things from the building. Right. I don't do that. I don't get the feeling they made any effort to go to Devontae Adams and say, hey, how do we make this work? How do we get you to stay and be, a combo with Garrett Wilson for a couple more years so Justin Fields has some legit weapons to work with? I don't get the feeling that happened. And so now it's Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard. It was funny. I tweeted out just after the pick 6 from Tyrod, said the Jets have 1 receiver and teams know that's where the ball is going. They need another receiver. They literally cut the commercial, start with the highlights. First highlight they show, Devontae Adams, 44-yard touchdown catch. And I'm just thinking, did they even try to do something to get him to stay? Because I don't think they did. I think they were like, we know it all. We don't need anyone. We don't need veterans affecting the locker room. Let's get rid of everyone who might know something. Your New York Jets, folks. Your New York Jets. We love them. They seem to hate us. But we love them. On their way to a top 5 NFL or top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Hopefully a quarterback there that they like. And when do we start the draft coverage? Normally we wait till October. I don't know that we're going to have that option this year. Going to roll out for now for this one. Check me out on Play Like a Jet. I will be hopping on Scott Mason, Play Like a Jet, his post-game show here momentarily. And that'll wrap this one up for us, Jets fans. Dolphins are up next. One of the more winnable games on the schedule. Hopefully it's not a big goose egg coming out of that one as well. Have a good one, Jets fans.